Hi, I'm Thomas, the AxidentalDM, and today we're going to be taking a look at Angel Role-Playing Game, which is a little bit of an older book. Actually came out in 2003 by Whedon Studios. It's a part of the Unisystem, and so the Whedon Studios had a lot of games that came out with that particular system. Buffy the Vampireslayer, Army of Darkness, and the way that system works is you would be able to kind of mix and match how those. There are a little bit of differences, but you shouldn't, in general, be able to kind of mix and match them. Now, it is a little bit difficult to find this in a physical copy. However, DriveThruRPG does have it available as a PDF, and there might be some other places that sell it online as a PDF. And that might be a better route to go because this can get a little bit expensive just in terms of trying to be able to find a physical copy. But sometimes, like myself, I was able to kind of wait a while and I was able to finally find it in a hard copy at a price that I was kind of willing to pay for it. Now, unfortunately, this is really the only book that has to do with the Angel RPG. Now, the Buffy version of this does have a few more things that are a part of it, some kind of a bestiary and some magic, kind of a magic book. And those, because it's in the same system, is possible of being imported into this game. But just to kind of let you know about that as well. So this is really the only thing that came part of it, as well as the kind of the director's screen. But just kind of looking at the back a little bit, bright eyes, beautiful people, and broken promises fill fabulous parties and elegant conference rooms. Loneliness, despair, and hunger haunt city streets and tenement apartments in Los Angeles. The facade makes the heartache all the more bitter, where still the shadows hide more than human misery. Vampires stalk alleys and boardrooms. Demons linger over murders and plan conquests. Evil lawyers cover tracks, set up schemes, and bring expensive brain power to the diabolical. Over it all, the end of existence looms. How can one person stand up the helpless while warding off the apocalypse? Angel, it's the same thing. You fight the good fight whichever way you can. You've heard the man. Time to join the struggle. And so that's kind of the to kind of get you kind of interested in it. So there is kind of, this might be a little bit harder to see on the screen itself, but there is just kind of what's in the book, an introduction, guide to character creation, kind of the Angel Unisystem streamlined for cinematic action, because there is the non-cinematic version, but I mean the basic mechanics of it kind of still works overly the same if you're familiar with the Unisystem. Rules for creating organizations, a guide to peoples, et cetera, et cetera. So let's kind of take a quick look in and see what's happening inside Angel, the role-playing game. Okay, so and a lot of things, I mean, it's very late 90s, early 2000s in terms of there's a lot of screenshots then from the television show that this is based off of, as opposed to kind of original art. But I mean, that was kind of the era of the time. So, but anyway, let's take a look then at the chapter titles. Now, one thing, chapter titles themselves don't necessarily give us a whole lot of detail about what's in them, but we can kind of take a look through it as we go. Chapter 1, Angel's Path. Chapter 2, Chosen Champions. Then we have Archetypes, original cast. So you can play as the characters from the show itself, or you can then, using the archetypes, kind of create your own characters to play in the setting itself. Chapter 3, Helping the Helpless. Chapter 4, Arcane Approaches. I'm assuming that's kind of in terms of magic. Chapter 5, Cabals, Covens, and Agencies. A little bit then of the kind of the background, the flavor of the universe that we're dealing with. Chapter 6, The City of Angel. Chapter 7, Something Wicked. Chapter 8, Episodes, Seasons, and Drama. I'm assuming then that's probably kind of having you be able to kind of work out how to do kind of the various sessions then of the game itself. Chapter 9, Blood Brothers. Now, Blood Brothers is, from what I read on the Wikipedia entry, Blood Brothers is kind of the introductory introductory then adventure for this, and then if you want the second half of that, you would actually have to have bought the kind of the director's screen in order to get the second half of that particular adventure. However, I mean, it is kind of the beginning of an adventure, kind of getting started in the Angel universe. So let's just kind of jump through a little bit. Chapter 1, Angel's Path. Angel, it's all the same thing. You fight the good fight. Okay, we heard that on the back. The good fight, pretty words, noble sentiments, fervent desires, but the fight ain't pretty, noble or desirable. It's harsh, hardcore, and hell on earth. It's kill or be killed, and anything goes. And that's very much then kind of setting the scene for kind of the Angel universe, which is, I mean, if you've seen the Angel show, you know kind of what it is that I'm talking about. But it is different than the Buffy universe, which is a little bit more comedic, not in the terms of slapstick, but I mean, it's a little bit more lighthearted. Whereas Angel gets into a kind of a very, very dark territory with the show itself. And so, so we got kind of getting started here. What else we have? Conventions. We have taken certain liberties here to make this book easier to follow. Do try to follow things. We really don't want to repeat ourselves. Okay, the text, the book looks different depending on what's going on. When the words change their look, something is important to just happen. Okay, so at least it's given us, as you can kind of see just on this spread here, a lot of text going on, but they are telling us then that they're going to kind of pop things out a little bit differently. Now, dice, as you probably noticed, dice is central to Angel RPG. From what I understand from the Unisystem, it is kind of a little bit of a dice pool system to create character creations about point buys, and then rolling dice kind of sets up then where the success level is of how we were going to be able to work or not. Gender, your English majors know that the guy reference he, him, his is customarily used for both a male and female. Lots of folk think that's part of the whole male dominant social thing and don't like it muchly. Well, suck it up. This show's about a guy with guys' problems. Okay, so it's definitely, you're getting a feel of what this show is. I mean, the book itself is not, yes, it's a dated book in that sense. We wouldn't never write something like that, I think, in a modern kind of RPG setting, but I think it's really trying to get into the grit of this particular show, this particular Angel universe itself. And so some of that stuff you've got to kind of, I think, excise out to kind of work with your particular group. But as we're already kind of seeing from what it's saying in here, that's just kind of the way this system works. Vampires are only vestige of the old ones. Other demons merge, possessed, or bred with humans and remain. Some demons found they could coexist in relative peace with humans. And Earth ain't the only game in town. There are dimensions around and about. The demons are the preeminent life form in those places. The universe is actually a multiverse. This wouldn't matter too much to humans or those on Earth, except that each dimension of the multiverse seems to be accessible in one way or another through portals. All right, so just a little bit kind of the cosmology of what's going on. Now this book then, we do see, or is it season 1 here, and then I saw season 3 here. I skipped a page, that's why, season 2. So this book was kind of written at that period to kind of cover seasons 1, 2, and 3 of the Angel series. So that's kind of what we're talking about. Chosen Champions, chapter 2. So you want to be a player. To fight the good fight, you need a few good men. A few good women are also a big help, but a few good men and women just doesn't sound as kicking. In truth, lots and lots of good men and women are needed. Good luck finding them. So this is a chapter then about how to kind of create. We see then kind of a section about what the character sheet kind of looks like in terms of, again, it's kind of small on this particular page, but that's the way they put it together. So you have the character name, character type, description of them. You have your attributes: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, perception, willpower. You have various skills that you have. It looks like there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm looking at 22 maybe. I'm just kind of guesstimating there. Useful information, success levels tables are there, qualities, drawbacks, combat maneuvers. There is, now this is kind of a pre-generated one for Angel himself, but that's quite a, maybe we wouldn't do it in a kind of a modern setting, but it's definitely kind of building itself out to be able to do a lot of different things and have different elements to it. So like dodge, grapple, kick, punch, spin kick, stake, sweeping kick, a sword, etc. All right, so just kind of giving a little bit kind of a feel of that. We have the different character types. You have champions, you have an investigator, you have a veteran. Then kind of going through what the various attributes are, etc. Again, we see all of these screen captures from the television show itself, again, kind of very much fitting the kind of the era in which this was made. So we're seeing then kind of a little bit about the different contacts and cop detectives, clowns. So again, it's the points-based system to kind of building your character, X-Watcher, emotional problems, kind of characteristics then of various players. Let's see. We had then chapter 1. We went into chapter 2. Let's see. Chapter 3 is on page 108, helping the helpless. I got to say that is one thing. I am finding it a little difficult just to kind of maneuver myself through this book, just in terms of the way its setup is, because the layout is very similar across everything. Lots and lots of text with a few screen caps in. But okay, so helping the helpless. No rules. It's a nice sentiment. It's pretty applicable when you get to be a professional evil fighter, but it plays havoc with role-playing game session. Ain't much of the game, there are no rules. So what are they, you ask? We pretty much covered this. Your players control the cast members, director sets the scene, etc. So this is kind of the this chapter then, chapter 3, helping the helpless, seems to be about kind of how the game mechanics work. So role modifiers, resisted actions, ability scores, how those work, combat, breaking it down, combat complications, How much does it hurt? So that's obviously kind of the damage modifiers that go on there. Okay, so again, we see, kind of covering all the bases with this. Experience and improvement, so kind of quote-unquote leveling up. Then a sample. Okay, this is nice. At least kind of gives you kind of how this kind of plays itself out. Again, it's very text-based, and I know the glare is really showing on this one here at the moment. But it gives you a kind of a section of how then a sample combat, in this case, Angel and Cordelia's non-date. So you have a pre-combat setup, kind of the turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. The director and the players kind of working their way through. Chapter 4 then is on arcane opportunities. So I'm assuming, spellcasting for dummies. So this is a chapter then on spellcasting, research, preparation, scope, duration. And then we have some sample spells, spirit binding, the raising, exorcism, and we see kind of source power level requirements, and that would be talked about back in chapter 3 on how this whole kind of game kind of plays itself out and works out. Okay, so some more example spells, and then we go into chapter 5. So it's not a big spell book. But if I remember correctly from the way this system is supposed to work, from what I had read previously, is that a lot of these can kind of be built up as well. And so, as it said, sample spells, and so you kind of use these based upon point spends in order to kind of create different things. So cobbles, covens, and agencies. So the various then connections then in the angel universe, so organization points. Again, it's about kind of building these things out. So it's not so much then, okay, here is everything and just kind of go with it. A lot of this is going to be about how you build factions, peoples, etc. They're going to be a part of this. So it's a system that kind of lets you go beyond then just what you saw, particularly in the show itself, and kind of bring in whatever you really want based upon the guidance that the book is kind of giving you in here. So example, organizations, and we see then a little bit from what we saw in the book itself, Wolfram and Hart, the big lawyer agency that was a part of that. Chapter 6, City of Angels. So this is about then how to, I'm assuming then, Caltech, Chinatown. So a little bit about Los Angeles, where Angels universe kind of takes place in as well. I'm wondering if it gives us then as well kind of how to build, so LA citizens, how to kind of build out your own city if you didn't want to play just in Los Angeles. And it doesn't seem to kind of do that for us. So I think it's one kind of set here then in Los Angeles itself. Something wicked, so kind of the monster section. So what do we have? Monster creation, how to do that, monster concepts, archetypes for monsters, hidden metaphors, things in the moonlight, return appearances. Sometimes the villain gets away and promises to return for some payback, assuming the bad guy did not killed, in which case turn to sometimes they come back. Having it return to punish the cast for their deeds is the natural. The old villain may be working alone or might have brought some new friends along. Okay, living the high life once they're over their growing pains. You have been around the block a couple of times. Some vampires get pretty ambitious and even entrepreneurial. These folks are the exception rather than the rule. Which, if you know the show itself, I mean, that's kind of the kind of one of the premises then of the law firm that's a part of that, kind of helping then kind of manage the non, both the legal and the non-legal stuff of the demons and of the various entities that exist in the universe. Then we have some examples: vampire dramatis personae, vampire minions, vampire veterans, vampire lieutenants, Darla, Drusilla from the show itself, so we kind of see them. Characteristics, usual suspects, supernatural abilities. Many demons are stronger, faster, and tougher than your average Olympic athlete. A few demons are the size of a Greyhound bus or larger. They can really tear up the landscape. Determine the average attributes of a demon species. Add any bonuses to the average attribute of 2. So a species with a +3 dexterity would have an average dexterity of 5. Maximum attributes range from 6 plus any bonus or penalties to 3 times the average. So kind of how to build all that out if you want. And again, just kind of more examples. And these seem to be ones that are specifically from the show, because we can see them with the various screenshots of some of these that are in there as well. Again, I mean, we are dealing with, kind of the late 90s, early 2000s in terms of kind of graphics from the television show itself. So it is what it is. Okay, so some zombies. Then we have human psychics and freaks. Just some examples from the television show, kind of really being able to kind of place yourself in that. Let's see, Lindsay McDonald, senior partner, Kleenock Demon. Episode 7, episode seasons is drama, so time and place, Los Angeles taking. Okay, so yeah, this is very much how to kind of build out then the various scenarios and episodes that you might want to play. So it does even give us some opportunities for leaving LA. So not everything needs to be in LA itself. So cast options, one champion or many sidekicks, a gather of champions. Okay, so I think in terms of what we would talk about kind of in modern terms, kind of the action economy of how to kind of play those out. Investigators and actions, young lawyers and hell, so the outsiders, just some examples of ways some of that works. Again, the layout is very... it's very text heavy in a lot of ways, so it can be a little bit difficult to kind of go through all of this material. But I think that's just kind of the era, because remember, we're talking 2003 with this. Okay, so Chapter 8, the plot thickens. Plots and games aren't scripted, and the cast members are going to act in ways that you didn't expect. That's inevitable. So what happens when you were planning a nasty ambush the moment heroes arrive at the abandoned warehouse and they decide to go home to rest instead? Okay, you could choose to let the chips fall where they may. The ambush never happens, and half the city burns down while the cast follows a false lead, or you can adjust things accordingly. For example, when the ambush is a vital part of the storyline, just relocate it to wherever the cast ends up, or have the finale, the false lead actually contains some clue that points him in the right direction. Okay, so it's just some kind of hints then for the director, as it's called in this particular one. In conclusion, producing a fun series requires a good deal of work from both you and the players. Your gaming group is basically doing the work of a team of screenwriters, actors, directors, and lots of support staff. Instead of big salaries and houses in Beverly Hills, you get to have fun making your own stories in the world of Angel. The great part about role-playing is you can have both the pleasure of reading a good story and knowing how it will end, and the creative joy of writing a good story. All right, so I don't want to, I never like to really show off too much in terms of let's go over here. In terms of the included scenarios, but we'll just kind of get a little bit in here of what's kind of an introduction. Jack says, my favorite part was when you stuck Baker with a knife. I kind of put a damper on the Brotherhood spiel. What did you expect? You're a demon, just like the rest of them. Difference is they know their place. Angel, someone needs to put you in yours, you and your brother. So kind of, I think, setting the scene, a little bit of a retaliation type of thing going on. And off we go. Blood Brothers is a ready-to-play episode. It should be sprung on your players early in the season after their cast members had some time to get used to each other, and can even be used as a season premiere. The episode works with the original cast, any season, or your own creation. We provide some guidelines for modifying the supporting cast to fit the group. This is designed as the first half of a two-part episode. Part 2 will appear in the Angel RPG director's screen. Okay, so again, this book and the director's screen, only thing that ever came out with the Angel RPG, primarily because of some issues between Eden Studios and Fox itself in terms of not continuing the partnership between them. If you can't wait that long, just some ideas on how to conclude the episode or create interesting episodes in the meantime. And so we have over here on the other side a little bit of a plot synopsis. And just to kind of start it off, a dark cult is trying to summon the hunter, a mystical creature that will track down the cult's quarry. All right, and so that's kind of what that's about. Then kind of how that kind of plays itself out. Some of the various characters are going to be involved, Act 3 with the climax, etc. Then there's an appendix at the end, Lingo of Guide of Angel Speak. Okay. Championships, the superhero shtick. The smoothness, which is not lying, contradiction, sincere insincerity. Okay, and we're getting so. This is dialogue from the show itself to kind of play that out. I think it's meant, I think, as a way of kind of helping with the role playing to kind of get an idea of how to kind of play through this particular scenario. So anyway, I think that kind of ends things up here. Kind of Unisystem conversion notes. Unisystem is the heart of several different games with varying backgrounds. The obvious first choice is the Buffy the Vampireslayer game, which uses the same version of the Unisystem as the one you're holding. We talked about that gem in Chapter 1. For those who are interested in exploring outside the Whedon world, check out C.J. Corrella's Witchcraft, All Flesh Must Be Eaten, Terra Primate, Armageddon. If you already play one or other Unisystem games, you know a few differences between those versions of the game mechanics presented in this book or in the Buffy RPG. It's the same basic system, though, so for people who want to drag Angel and company in the shadowy world of Witchcraft, the war-torn world of Armageddon, okay, so it's possible. Easy method, so how you just transfer it over. So it's nice that it gives you then how that kind of works. So like I said, this is the only book for the Angel role-playing game, and you would, if you want to add in other pieces, you would have to go to those games in order to get that. And so this is kind of telling you how that's possible. A glossary, that's interesting that would be in the back. But again, it looks like it is very much kind of focused on ethnodemonology, the evil incorporated, okay, so into the role-playing world of the Angel universe itself. And in the back then we have then a better kind of a blank player sheet in order to kind of see what that is. Okay, and I think that is the end then of Angel the RPG. It's an interesting piece of its time. It is one that I've been looking to kind of pick up for a while. I don't know how, I doubt I'll play too many games, and I think it is, for me, this is going to be more for kind of reference material. But that was kind of a first look then at the Angel role-playing game. If you have any comments, questions, want me to talk a little bit more about this, put all of those down in the comments down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with other people, subscribe to the channel so you can get more content if you like it is what I do. But anyway, thanks for joining me on this look through then of the Angel role-playing game from Eden Games. From Eden Studios. So until next time.